Hey everybody, so this week we are going to be making one pot chicken and dumplings for two. So in your group, now that we're only two in the kitchen instead of four, we're gonna be sizing this recipe down. I'm making this at home, obviously, tonight, so I'm gonna be using a bigger version. But basically, what we started with today was knife skills, but we're just gonna be doing onion, carrot, celery, and then we're going to be making a roux in the pan with the vegetables. So after we cook those, we're gonna be adding butter to the pan. And then we're gonna be adding some flour to soak up that butter. That's gonna thicken it. And the sauce that we're thickening, instead of like milk, if you were making a macaroni and cheese sauce, or a bechamel, even if you weren't adding the cheese, we're gonna be adding chicken broth. So it's basically going to be like it's inside chicken gravy. Then on top, we are going to be making dumplings. So dumplings are kind of like a drop biscuit, and we don't need an oven to do this. We're gonna do everything in the pan. So I left the tripod at school, so I'm gonna be positioning the camera so you can kind of see the pan. I'll take some shots, and hopefully after the knife skills demo and you guys cut up your onions, carrots, and celery, we are going to make and eat this in one period. So that's why I'm making this video. All right, so let's start. Let's review again like we did in class. We'll start with the celery. So I washed my celery, rule of thumb, cut it in pieces the size of your thumb. Okay, I'm gonna do a couple at a time here. Tip to heel. Okay, when you get to the end, flex on top. Putting this into my pan. I have 2 stalks of celery. Okay. Now I got my carrots peeled. Again, I'm going to cut these in half. Goes out. I'm giving myself a flat foot. Flex on top. Cutting these in half. And these are on the skinnier end of the carrot, so I'm not going to cut those in half again. But this is again the fat side. That one's smaller. And then here, so we got both sides. We got the stem and the root. We want to take off the stem to give ourselves a foot, but keep on the root. So I'm going to bear claw over here, give myself a flat foot, bridge reach over, wiggle back and forth until I have 2 flat sides. Now I peel it. And I want to keep my onion about the same size as my carrots and celery. Okay, so I have my onion so that the lines of the onion are horizontal, and my knife is also horizontal. And instead of cutting up here, that would cut the root, I back my knife up. Okay, and when I get to the middle there, my hands are in trouble, I move to the other side. Okay. And if I did it correctly, I should have a bloomin' onion. Then I'm going to bear claw over here by the root. And I have my dice. And it's okay to have some left over. Okay, so again, back the knife up. Okay, again, bear claw back here by the root. Okay, and put these off. Okay, so in a large pan, I have my mirepoix, which is 50% onion, 25% carrots, and 25% celery. And now I'm going to add my butter to to saute it in. Paper. And I'm gonna wait until it softens, but it doesn't brown. I wanna see that the opaque onion goes to translucent, my carrots get a little bit tender, and my celery softens. Okay, now we are going to add the flour. Now you're going to stir to coat, and now we're going to slowly pour in the broth. And we're going to bring this to a boil. And that flour and that butter created a little roux that coated all the vegetables, and now it is going to get really nice and thick. And meanwhile, as this simmers, I'm going to cut up the chicken. Okay, when we go to cut the chicken, we want to make sure that we are using a red cutting board. Okay, so we're gonna cut these into strips and then a 1-inch dice. Okay, so about like that. It's really important that we use a separate meat cutting board and that we sanitize this with a chlorine solution or we run it through the dishwasher. Sauce is all nice and thick. Okay, now the best part of this is the dumplings and the gravy that it sits in. So good, my favorite part. So, hopefully you can see through the bowl. So what I have here is a pastry blender, and I'm gonna be making a biscuit, a drop biscuit that is going to cook in the heat and the steam of the pot. So I need 2 tablespoons of cold butter and half a cup of flour, baking powder, and salt. I'm going to push my butter off to the side and mix my dry ingredients together. I'm going to use the pastry blender to cut up the butter. You can see it better over here. And you're going to cut this until it's the size of peas. Okay, and now we're going to pour the milk in. Okay, so that's going to be our liquid. I'm going to take a little scooper and scoop myself little dumplings and plop these on top of our beautiful simmering sauce here. While this simmers, you need to put the top on because the top is going to fill up with steam and help cook those dumplings. In the meantime, we are going to cut up some beautiful fresh parsley. Don't skip this. This dish is all one color. There's a lot of yellow, a little bit of green from the celery, but it pretty much disappears. And then you've got those white dumplings on top. You really need the parsley. This recipe, you can either add the parsley into the dumplings or onto the soup itself, and the stew, I should call it. I like to put it on top so it really covers everything. You can put it in the dumplings as well. Right, but we just want to give this a nice mince. In addition to color, it adds flavor and freshness right at the end. Okay, it's been about 10-12 minutes, and what I'm really looking for on the dumplings, I opened them up before and I noticed that some of them went translucent, like it's the color change. It goes from being really white to definitely a creamier color, and you can see it starts to look see-through, and that's that starch gelatinizing that we learned from the other lab. And now we are going to coat this beautifully, and it just really makes it. I don't suggest using dry herbs in place of this because dry herbs are really meant to be in things that are going to simmer for a long time. This definitely needs something fresh, and it gives it so much color and beautiful, bright flavor. And I know that you guys will really enjoy this. This is a favorite in class. The one thing that I did off camera was I tasted the sauce for salt and pepper. You want to make sure you do that beforehand so that the dish tastes really nicely seasoned, not just salty. And I also checked each like bigger piece of chicken to make sure that it was 165 degrees. There you go. Enjoy.